Hey, what's up, Good Life? Thanks for joining me for today's 128 moment. We're in the midst of a series called Beginning to End. We're walking through the big story that God is telling from the in the beginning of Genesis to the amen of Revelation. And because we're looking at God's story, I want to begin today by looking at a story with you. In early 1940, the British and their allies, they're trying in vain to sort of hold back the Nazi expansion across Europe. And so as the Germans, they're advancing through France and Belgium and Holland, there's a British force of about 350,000 men who are just driven back to the beaches of a small French town called Dunkirk. They're trapped against the sea. They don't have any means of evacuation. And the British people at home, they are waiting with bated breath to figure out whether their boys are going to be able to escape back home. So when everything looked hopeless, there was one British officer who sent a short but powerful message. The simple message said, "But if not." The message was short, maybe a little bit cryptic, but these three words were communicating a message of hope that God would provide a way out of one of the darkest nights for their nation. Let me tell you why. Today in our Bible reading plan, our Good Life Journal, we're in Daniel 3 and 4, looking at the story of Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego. And these three young Jewish men, they were faced with a life or death choice while them and their people were in exile in Babylon. See, the Babylonian king, King Nebuchadnezzar, he had built this enormous golden statue. He had a huge ego, and he had made a law that everyone in the land had to fall down and worship his statue at a certain time during the day. So these three devout, God-fearing young men were faced with a life or death choice: sin or worship the idol of the king. So when the young men were confronted with that command and that opportunity to compromise, they responded in a startling way. They said, "Our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, be it known to you that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you've set up." These young men were confident in God's ability to deliver them, but their obedience was not based on and dependent upon God changing their destination. Even if they were to fall into the flames, it did not tempt them to fall to their knees. They were confident God could save them, but if he didn't, he was still God. So when the three men were thrown into the fire, they did not die. When the king looked into the raging flames, expecting to see three young men burning to death, he actually saw four men. There was another in the fire with them. God was with them. Even in the midst of this hopeless situation, they not only emerged from the flames untouched, their clothes didn't even smell like smoke. They trusted God, and God saved them. But think about that phrase that's key to both of these stories, in both Dunkirk and in Babylon. The faith that was revealed in those three little words, "but if not." Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego ended up being saved from the flames. And the stranded troops in Dunkirk, they ended up being saved by this hodgepodge ragtag flotilla of hundreds of ships, fishing vessels, and private crafts that went across the channel and brought the boys home. The Allies regrouped, and evil ultimately fell. What if that hadn't happened? What if they hadn't been saved? Neither story. In this world, we need people who have, but if not faith. People who will believe that God can do anything, but they still trust him and cling to him if it seems like he's doing nothing. People who have expectation without entitlement. I know God can move in amazing ways, but I'm not going to be shocked when he saves me. But if he doesn't, if the flames get me, or if it seems like for the moment that evil is prevailing, God is still God and he is still good, and we can still trust him. So Good Life, whatever you're facing today, can you lay it down before God, and can you say, "God, I know you can fix it, but if not, I will still love you, I will still serve you, I will still live to know you and make you known." Good Life, do you have, but if not, faith? I believe that's what we need in our lives to make sense of the story that God is calling us to step into, the story that he is telling from the in the beginning of Genesis to the amen Revelation, the story that's still unfolding right here in 2020. Can you and I walk through the season God has placed before us, the scenes he has called us to reflect him into, and can we live, but if not faith? Hopefully you'll be able to join us this Sunday, 9:30 and 11 here at the church. Also online at 9:30, we'll be continuing our our beginning to end sermon series. Hopefully you'll be able to join us as we continue unfolding the big story that God is telling so we can understand the role that he has us to play. Love you guys, and we'll see you soon.